If not now, when? When will someday become today? Will someday ever become today? We all have issues and tasks in our lives that we put on the back burner as we navigate the daily ups and downs of life. It is a common struggle, but it is not an eternal struggle, so long as we face our problems with appropriate solutions. When it comes to the area of estate planning or planning our estates and our affairs for our families, planning what will happen after we pass away or how our loved ones can still be cared for after we're gone, it is an issue filled with dread, with fear, and morbidity. There's a taboo there. It's like if we even talk about it, we're going to die tomorrow. And that's not true. We're so taboo to even speak about death when it is one of the only guarantees in life, and it literally happens every single minute of the day. But we don't even talk about it because we think if we talk about it, we're going to be next right away. And the reality is we never know when. We never know if it's going to be tomorrow, if it's going to be at this minute, if it's going to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 50 years from now. So with this big variety of time, why are we so in tune to say sooner, right? Why are we so afraid to think it's going to happen right away? Something bad. Instead of thinking, oh my goodness, I have 50 more years to live. What can I accomplish in those 50 years? What can I do with those 50 years? How can I expand in those 50 years? How can I care for the people I love 50 years from now, even if I'm not going to be here, right? So shifting that mindset from it's going to happen in something bad into it's going to happen, but I have to make the most of it, right? And because we think this way, we fail to act. We fail to put any action behind our intention, the intentions of actually caring for the people that we love so much. And in addition to this kind of negative urgency, if you will, of the consequences of death, there are also three other common misconceptions that lull us into inaction. And that inaction constantly puts off our actions towards one of life's greatest priorities, which is how can we leave a legacy? How can we leave a legacy of protection to our loved ones after we're gone? How can we leave them with more than we had after we passed away? You know, we think about life, we think about our children perhaps, or maybe it's grandchildren, and we want to do all these things for them while we're here now, which is great and we should do. And that's a very noble thing to do. But we don't think about how we can secure it for them so they don't have to start over when we're gone. How can we make sure that not only do they keep what we've given them now, but they can keep what we've given them in their own lifetime after we've gone? How do we secure that? How do we maintain it? How do we protect it? So there are three common misconceptions that cause people to delay, other than, that negative connotation of death being so bad happening right away. So the first one is actually just waiting for death to happen. Honestly, there's a mindset, there's a thinking that, well, I'll need it when I die. And it's literally too late then. Okay. You have to be alive to do this. Okay. The plan can only kick in a lot of instances, particularly with common tools like a will, when you pass away. Even if you write a will today, it does not become effective until your death. Okay. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It just means that waiting for that to happen is literally the wrong time and the worst time to do it, because there is no more time to do it. There are so many life or death issues. This does not have to be one of them. Okay. What happens can only be determined while you are still alive, while you still have life in you, and while you are still lively, which means that you are able to actually make those decisions on your own, with your own sound mind, with your own free will. Okay. So number one is actually waiting for death to happen to think you need to start planning for these things. And that's totally false. It's literally the worst thing to do. The second one is almost just as bad, waiting for disability. Now, estate planning encompasses also caring for ourselves and caring for the people we care about when we're not able to do that anymore. We either become mentally disabled. That happens a lot in elderly people with like the onset of Alzheimer's or dementia, but also physical disabilities, and also even in childhood when it comes to developmental disabilities. Okay. And so we feel like, well, we need to wait for that to happen and then we can do it. But again, it's too late then. It's too late because you're either already either physically too exhausted or unable to complete the task, or even worse, you're mentally unable to complete the task. You're mentally unable to determine who's going to get what, who you want to take care of you. And because mentally, that's rule number one when it comes to estate planning. And in many areas of the law, is what's in your mind. You must have a sound mind. That's literally a legal requirement for creating an estate plan in the state of Michigan, here where I practice law. And I'm sure, if not the same, a similar rule in all the 50 states across the United States. And just a little caveat also, when it comes to criminal law, when it comes to getting arrested, prosecutors have to often prove that the person intended to do it. That means they actually use their mind. They use their mind, and in their mind, they were planning to commit XYZ crime. Okay, so the mind plays a big piece in estate planning. It plays a big piece in many areas of the law, and the mind is one of the most important, if not the most important tool that any human being has. Okay, so once it's gone, you are unable to make those decisions for yourself. You're unable to make that plan for yourself. You're unable to direct what you want to happen. Okay, so that's one of the worst times. Next to you already being gone, is you being mentally checked out of here, or you being physically present, but not physically able to act. The third one is waiting for delegation. And what I mean by that is waiting for some other plan to kick in place, waiting for some default to kick in place. So whether you plan your own estate or not, there will be one for you. There are a set of laws that will determine if you pass away without a will, if you pass away without some other kind of estate planning tool, and there's some property that needs to be distributed, the laws are going to set in place. Here in Michigan, we have that they're called intestacy laws. I'm sure, again, there are similar laws for other states across the country. And you're essentially delegating your decisions, your own authority to the state to do it. And that may be giving your property, it may be giving care for your loved ones that you're responsible for unknowingly to someone you can't trust, okay? Because it'll just depend on how those laws are ruled, right? Who's around you. Usually I call it the rule of down, up, and across. So down, if you pass, it might go to a child. Up, if you don't have any children, it can go to a parent. Across, no parent, no child, a sibling, okay? And then it'll just go on and on depending on how far it spreads and who's there, who's not there. So, and that person may not be someone you trust. It may not be someone you have a good relationship with. It may not be someone you want to get anything to. And then even worse is you're delegating your own authority, your own power, essentially to the government, to the state to decide. And how often can you really rely on the state to make the best decisions for you, right? To really rule in your best interest? Not often. And I'm not saying that, a default plan can't work, maybe, but do you want to take a maybe, right? A 50-50 essentially? Do you want to go with a 50-50 chance of it working in your favor? Or do you want to take absolute authority that you have and put it 100% in your control, right? The choice is yours, but it's yours to make. So those are three common misconceptions that cause people to delay creating an estate plan and kind of fear it and put it off. But again, in all those situations, it's too late. It's too late. So that's why this is when, if not when. Now, good thing is, obviously, there are solutions to the problem, and they're pretty easy, actually. Okay, but we have to actually take them on. We have to be responsible for them. We have to be willing to commit to them. And this is just a short kind of summary of the solutions to all this wait, all this needless wait, all this needless delay, and all of this, unnecessary intention. Okay, so the first is to prioritize. Start with our priorities. What must we work on or work toward having in place so that our loved ones are cared for when we're no longer able to do so? Is our priority making sure that there's money in grandchild's college tuition fund? Is our priority making sure that whenever son or daughter marries, they don't have to go buy a home of their own, we can leave them the family home? Is our priority making sure that if I pass away and my minor child I leave a minor child, am I leaving enough for that person, for that child? Am I leaving them in the care of a proper guardian, right? What are the priorities in your life today? And what would the priorities be if you were not here? Think of it kind of in that way. So once we have established our priorities, the second thing would be to prepare. And what I mean when I say prepare, think through and sort and organize. What do you have? What do you need? Do you need to make room for something? Do you need to get rid of some things? Do you need to sort out some affairs? Are there some documents you might have misplaced? Are there some policies that are out there that you really don't know about or that you need to get, right? Prepare for what it is that you are prioritizing, okay? So that you can have more understanding of what is necessary. And so you can have things ready when the time comes, because the time is going to come. And by you preparing, it doesn't mean that you're just waiting on it to happen. You're just waiting to get out of here. No, but what you are doing is you're making sure that you're making responsible choices and decisions that don't negatively affect somebody else because you didn't do it. That's what it is. The third one then is to plan accordingly. So you prioritized all of the things in your life. You prepared for them by just kind of gathering what it is you'll need, don't need, have, going to make room for. Now plan, put the plan together. You made all these assessments. How do you put it together? What will be the best fit for your situation for now and for the future? Will it be enough? And this is where kind of the legal stuff really starts when it comes to, okay, now I have all of this in place. Am I going to need a will? Am I going to need a trust? Am I going to need powers of attorney? How many will I need when it comes to a trust? What kind of trust will I need, right? And so that's why I kind of start from the beginning. When I talk about these things with clients, I always talk about them first and what they need, what they want, what their goals and objectives are, because it doesn't matter if I come spitting out talking about wills and trust this and this. It doesn't matter if we haven't gone through these preliminary factors. Okay, it does not matter. It's good to know these things, and I think a lot of times people get caught up because they try to do the legal stuff right away, thinking that they have to do it or that it's important because it is, but don't understand how it fits into the larger picture. And a lot of times, unfortunately, some people will just rush to court and do some things that they didn't need to go to court to do when it comes to this area of estate planning, okay? And that's very unfortunate. But again, that's why we start with the basics, because the basics will then inform the more complex building blocks, if you will. And we will get into that more often. So I do encourage you to follow, to subscribe, to like, and to share if this is helpful for you. But again, today, 60 days left until the new year. Today is November 1st, 2023. Literally 60 more days, right? 29 for the rest of this month, 31 for the month of December. If not now, when? Decide to protect your family against your death today.